Councilwoman Mary Pat Clark, lead sponsor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you very much for working so hard to reschedule so quickly so that we could move this matter forward within city government and within the Hyatt hierarchy. I was around in 1979, and one of our speakers tonight is Ernie Greco, director of the Metropolitan Baltimore AFL-CIO, a very prominent position that's got a lot of active people behind it. In those days, there was a man named Tom Bradley who had that position, and we all knew him well. Yes, the purpose of creating the Inner Harbor as a tourist and hospitality center was mainly, always, to help create jobs in tourism and hospitality, to help pick up the slack from Baltimore's loss of manufacturing jobs. And so the purpose was to get decent jobs that people could work hard in and support families and buy homes and live well in the city. Tom Bradley's followers were not so sure. They wanted to support the UDAG grant that was mentioned in this letter, $20 million. The Hyatt came to Baltimore and said they couldn't make the numbers work to build their hotel, and this is the one with the glass elevators down there on Light Street. The numbers didn't work. But they had just invented in Washington UDAG grants, Urban Development Action Grants, precisely to close the gap so that urban developments could be built. And so the city was getting ready to go and seek that grant on behalf of the Hyatt, but they needed labor behind them for the Hyatt. And labor wasn't sure that the Hyatt would honor labor contracts and agreements and labor peace and be supportive. So Tom Bradley went and spoke with representatives of the Hyatt Corporation, and on a handshake, they agreed that if labor would support the Hyatt and the UDAG to make it economically work, then they would never interfere with the with activities, lawful activities of unionizing their employees here in Baltimore City. Well, they barely cut the ribbon to the Hyatt, then that agreement was broken. And the Hyatt not only failed to stand back and let people sign on to unionize, they directly interfered. And to this day, since 1979 and the early 80s, when that occurred, they have never ceased to interfere when any persons in any decade began to organize at the Hyatt. I knew Tom Bradley, and he said to me, and so therefore to many people, that he had given his word to his people, and the Hyatt had broken their word to all of them, and that it broke his heart, because that's the kind of guy he was. So, I don't want to let a broken heart linger forever in heaven. So, this is a resolution that approaches the Hyatt situation from the perspective of the city government's well-being. We have proprietary rights here. We, the city government, made an agreement with the Hyatt Regency Baltimore. They lease our land, publicly owned land, and that lease and agreement go hand in hand from the very beginning. And so in that agreement, There really is a requirement because of why the harbor is here. Jobs, good jobs. There is a requirement by city government, the Board of Estimates, and an agreement that the Hyatt shall not subcontract employees, but shall hire directly. What difference does that make? Everybody who works at the Hyatt in this room knows the difference it makes. It's about a regular salary, it's about benefits, it's about stability in the workplace so that you can begin to create stability in the family and the neighborhood economically. That's a big deal. But it's a big deal for the city too, because if there's discord, unrest, people who cannot be committed with their heart and soul to what they're doing for a living, then that hurts the city of Baltimore's economic interest in the Hyatt. This resolution also speaks to labor peace agreements. We would like the Hyatt to enter into a labor peace agreement here in Baltimore City, which means that it's an agreement with workers that says they won't interfere. Now, a handshake wasn't good enough, apparently, even if it was a good handshaking. So we want a labor peace agreement the way the city of Baltimore itself has insisted and received at the Baltimore Hilton Hotel. Just like that, we want one of those. And it's not going to hurt anybody, and it will help and protect the city's financial interests and community interests at the same time. So, we are also asking the mayor and the Board of Estimates to not amend, not only to have the Hyatt honor its agreement about direct employment. And here's the list, so you can see it, and I'll pass it out to my colleagues. You can see at least where it's yellow, right? That's a list of housekeepers currently working at the Hyatt, Baltimore. And the yellow marked ones are not direct employees, are part-time workers. Now, you don't find anything more central to the operation of a hotel than housekeepers. And most of them are yellow, meaning contracted by someone else, paying third party, fourth party to the money they earn. We're asking that the mayor and the Board of Estimates not agree to any changes or new agreements with the Hyatt without a labor peace agreement being adopted by the Hyatt. Don't do anything, don't make any changes. And without this direct hiring thing be straightened out, and all the lawyers in the world can read the words, and they're all going to read the same thing. Do not hire through subcontract and concessions. So, thank you to the workers and leaders who are here tonight to fight Tom Bradley's good fight to the finish. I am very proud to be part of the effort. You have encouraged me to think that this time we are sure to win. It means a great deal to me personally, as well as in terms of the city's financial well-being, our proprietary well-being as sharing profits and in a lease with the Hyatt Regency Hotel. I hope that, as their letter indicates, the Hyatt people will come and talk with us. We want peace. We want peace. We just want, if you want peace, the man said, work for justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
places at once, and I mentioned that they're very interested in following this, and I'm sure you'll brief the council on Monday.
Well, I think have a quorum of the committee, we can bring it out Monday. If not, I'm gonna have to have a voting session Monday to bring it out the following meeting.
So the only members are Councilman
Scott,
and Councilwoman.
are you a member of the committee, Councilman Clark?
Yes, I am.
We do have a quorum then.
Then you do have a quorum.
Well, I wouldn't mind moving for adoption now while we have one. You're gonna be, because I know Councilman Scott usually has meetings.
All right,
No, I just want to ask that because I didn't know if you were going to be able to have a vote, but at least you'll be able to bring this information. Now, the law department has not weighed in on this?
they're still working out the finer details.
So are you just saying that you'll support the resolution, Madam Councilwoman?
Well, we're gonna bring out all
I'm not
the,
waiting. The law department is working on what this I believe the law department is working on the particulars of what this resolution is talking about, which are the contracts,
Right.
that the agreements and the like. Rereading, re-going over them. I mean, this is a resolution. I'm sure it's legally sufficient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Labor Commissioner has
It's just the information that we
supported
need
the
to know.
labor peace agreement that it requests, so.
Is this law firm that's in the packet, the law firm for the Here United?
Yeah, yes. Unite Here.
Yeah, here.
Local
United.
7, yes.
This is their law firm on
Well, it was-
Glen Eagle Court?
It was on that occasion.
Is it currently the law firm?
we can ask Roxy,
Which one are you referring to?
come to the microphone
The
for a
law
second.
firm that doesn't seem to be a city law firm, Abato,
They were just
Rubenstein?
supplying some information to the committee.
Yeah,
submitted.
Abato Rubenstein prepared and supplied the documents to the legal department regarding Hyatt's agreement and management agreement and the ownership papers.
In all defense of the law department, Council Inspector and Council Scott and Mayor Pat Clark, the resolution was introduced February 7th, and we had the hearing.
That's what I'm trying
Yeah,
to say. It didn't
the law
give them
department
much
didn't have a chance to digest the
You know how
all the
quickly
agreements.
lawyers work, right, right.
Obviously, Ms. Gibson is given the charge to get back to us from the law department with the information that BDC is, and then BDC will respond to the committee too. That may take some process. But we wanted to have this hearing and show the intent of the council to move forward with the intent of the resolution.
But the resolution is so clear, it's just I want to make sure in terms of being lawful. Can you hear me? I just, the resolution is so clear, the intent is so clear, and just to stick to that is not a problem. I just want to make sure that what we have to debate in terms of expediting the purpose of the resolution has all the legal weight that we need.
Well, as you know, the resolutions to the city council is the vehicle to show the intent of the council
And
through the
that's clear,
resolution.
and that's clear. But I'm
So-
saying this legal issue is one that I'm not sure passing the resolution without clearly understanding the legal ramifications is going to help the workers, help the
I
situation.
understand, but the agreements have been in place for 35 years, and we can't get an answer, obviously, in 30 days, but I'm still gonna move forward with fulfilling the intent of the resolution was to have the hearing here tonight and to ask for the LPA.
But the goal can't be
Yes.
this.
Right.
Just
And
passing
for
the
that-
resolution is not enough.
I understand.
The goal has to be.
Well, we
achieved.
can make it an ordinance next time, and then the law department would have to come back in a little bit more timely fashion. So, thank you, Roxy. Well, I have a quorum of
It
the
doesn't hurt.
committee now. Ms. Williams, we're gonna vote the,
There's not really any disagreement about what the agreement says.
the,
Mr. Chairman, I really would like to see this on the floor
Monday.
on Monday,
Yeah.
and I'm going to have to, we're gonna lose our quorum.
I understand, that's
So
why I'm
if
gonna do the
people do-
housekeeping first.
All right, then I'd like to
Which is-
move adoption of the resolution. I've explained exactly what it does.
Councilwoman Clark moves
Second.
favorable resolution 13-0095R, the Hyatt Regency Baltimore Labor Peace Agreement, as favorable from the Labor Committee. Second by Councilman Scott. I'm gonna call the roll. And this will, let me ask you, explain to the folks, we will usually do this at the end of the hearing, but since we have a quorum of the committee with Councilman Scott and Councilman Mary Pat Clark and myself as chair, we're gonna move it now, and the hearing will continue. It's at the end of the hearing, we wanna hear more particulars from the employees and from the panel quorum, but the housekeeping is to allow us to come to the floor Monday. We need to pass the intent of the resolution was to have a hearing and ask for the LPA, and that's what we're doing now.
I just need clarification,
Sure.
because I want to know what we're doing. I don't vote on this, I'm sorry to say. So we're supporting, and most of us that sponsored it are supporting the intent.
Yes.
How far does that go in terms of determining the success of the goal of the resolution?
Well, that's to be determined when
What's
we
it
get
going to take for that to happen?
That's gonna
It's
take an
gonna-
ordinance,
the
the way it was.
mayor-
Ask the
The
Board of
mayor to
Estimates.
say, one,
Use the microphone, Councilman.
it's going to require the mayor to say, Hyatt, uphold the agreement we made about direct employment. And to say, through the Board of Estimates, Hyatt, the city, the Board of Estimates would like you to follow the model of our own hotel that we own, and on the hotel that we own the land of, have labor peace agreement, because we're profit sharing, we're collecting a lease, and the opportunity for discord and upset in this hotel hurts our financial interests. And we want you to not do that, and a labor peace agreement is how we're avoiding that in the Hilton, and we want to avoid it likewise in the Hyatt, and it's high overdue.
We have the motion duly moved and second, and I'm gonna call the roll. Just for your understanding, I'm gonna read the purpose clause one more time, but we're voting on for the purpose of calling upon the Hyatt Regency Baltimore to abide by the terms of the agreement with the city, including direct hiring and employment of all employees, which is in the sublease, as I pointed out 35 years ago.
What he read it. He's got
And for the city of Baltimore to encourage the Hyatt Regency Baltimore to enter into a labor peace agreement which protects the city against lost revenues due to boycotts and other labor disputes, and for the city to furthermore decline to enter into or amend any agreements with the Hyatt Regency Baltimore until the city is protected against losses by the operator signed participation in a labor peace agreement. Obviously, this is a resolution, doesn't have the force of the ordinance. And I am agreeable with the intent of the resolution, and that's why I'm allowed to come to the floor, and it could be discussed before Monday. And obviously, the folks can stand and be counted where they want. Obviously, the law department is still working on their response. It's a lot of agreements here to go through. And obviously, if you have 4 lawyers, you got 5 opinions. So we're going to move forward. Do we move in second? Chairman Kern votes yes.
my packet, I guess it is.
Vice Chair Mosley is absent.
Yeah.
Councilman Branch is absent. Councilman Mary Pat Clark.
Yes.
Councilman Gardner. Councilman Scott.
Yes.
Yes. The vote is 3 in favor, 2 absent, and it will come to the floor Monday, and we will discuss this further Monday, but we're going to continue with the hearing now. That's a housekeeping duty that we usually do when we have a quorum.
And it's duly noted that I can't vote because I'm not
Yes.
a member of the
Yes,
committee.
ma'am.
Correct.
Yes.
But we'll be waiting for your help on Monday night at 5 p.m. in these chambers. Anyone want to come, you're welcome.
Yes, so that will be on the second reader Monday, unless we get a snowstorm that delays it again.
Yo, we've overcome a
no.
lot more than...
That snowstorm didn't happen, so it won't happen.
Well, we should have had this hearing last Wednesday, but,
Okay,
we're
let's
gonna
have it
be,
now.
we're gonna have some speakers here. I'm gonna ask for Roxy.
On behalf of the hospitality workers who are here tonight from Baltimore, we want to thank Chairman Curran for holding this hearing, and for all of our sponsors, Mary Pat Clark, Brandon Scott, Ricky Spector. It gives us great comfort that 100% of the City Council co-sponsor this resolution, 100%.
Never happens.
Never happens, but you know, it shows us that you understand the issues that hospitality workers have. And as we've said, this resolution is going to do two things: have Hyatt live up to its agreement vis-a-vis its management contract and hiring employees directly, and also to encourage labor peace. So you're going to hear tonight from a variety of people who've been here since the Hyatt was first conceived, workers who are currently at the Hyatt. And I want to tell you that this is a really critical junction in the organizing campaign, and the timing of this hearing is really excellent in terms of us reaching an agreement, okay? There is a global boycott of Hyatt. Our union, Unite Here, has a national campaign directed at Hyatt. It involves both non-union hotels and unionized Hyatt hotels. And this summer, a global boycott was called and is active. We have specifically not activated the boycott in Baltimore, right? The campaign started about 11 months ago, and we knew that doing a boycott is a dramatic thing, and that it would affect the revenue to the city. So we have specifically not activated the boycott at the Hyatt. It is our hope that through this resolution and the good offices of the Labor Commission and the mayor, that we can convince Hyatt that the smart thing to do is to settle before we get to that point, therefore protecting the interests of the city. As you said before, the same type of agreement was signed with the Hilton Baltimore. So I'm very optimistic, actually, because since this hearing was called, Hyatt has started doing some of the right thing. This hearing was announced, and then last Friday, just 6 days ago, Hyatt announced to its housekeeping department, which is comprised of about 8 employees that work for Hyatt and approximately 40 employees who don't work for Hyatt, who are there every day cleaning rooms and public areas, but they work for temporary agencies, many of them for minimum wage. Hyatt announced them last Friday that they're going to be directly hiring 5 to 10 housekeepers. That's the first time in 6 years.
Are they hiring from the temporaries?
Well, we hope so. Right? They're fine. But literally, in the last 6 years, they've hired 1. Am I right? Where's Tracy? Yeah, 1. So just the fact, I think, that the city council is starting to get involved is pushing Hyatt in the right direction, right? And with this resolution, we believe this will give the mayor the opportunity to show that there's unity in the city regarding this issue, which will enable her to go to Hyatt with that unified force behind her. And that is really the great value of this resolution. So we thank you all for introducing it. You're going to hear from a lot of folks today, you know, we are absolutely committed to trying to find a peaceful resolution. We think that it takes 2, and we have to convince Hyatt that it's good for the city, it's good for them, it's good for the workers to reach a resolution now. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Jeff Nelson. I'm a research director with Unite Here International Union, of which Local 7 is, of course, an affiliate. And I specialize in working with cities, trying to help them understand and use the agreements that they have, whether lease agreements, management agreements with private hospitality employers. I'm going to be brief because it's clear to me that the chairman and the members of the committee have done their homework on this. Unlike Hyatt, they seem to be fairly familiar. Excellent, well, excellent work. Seem to be familiar with these agreements, but I just want to hit the high points. So most of these agreements, as was noted, were executed in 1979. And although the parties of some of the agreements have evolved over the years, have been transferred from one to another, the agreements really haven't changed very much since they were executed. And so just to be very brief and clear about this is the city's hotel. It owns the hotel. It's the landlord for the hotel. It has leased the property to what ultimately became the BDC, the Baltimore Development Corporation, which entered into a management agreement which then subleased the property to. Yeah. Yes. It's the city's hotel.
Like the Hilton? We
Well,
own the hotel?
It's your hotel.
I knew we owned the land.
No, you own the city owns.
The whole hotel?
You executed a.
What are we doing here?
Well, you're doing the right thing is what you're doing here. Yeah, you entered. All right, I'll break it down for you. Okay. So the city entered into a lease with what ultimately became the Baltimore Development Corporation, the BDC. Then the BDC subleased the property to what ultimately became Hyatt, an affiliate of Hyatt now known as Hyatt Equities. So there's a master lease, a sublease, and then Hyatt entered into a management agreement with itself. So you have Hyatt Equities, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of Hyatt, that has a management agreement, which apparently they haven't read, with Hyatt Corporation, same company. They have an agreement with themselves to manage the company, the property. So it's, and the management agreement is very clear, and the three interlocking agreements, the master lease, the sublease, and then the management agreement, all serve together to protect the city's proprietary interest in this property. And Hyatt's violated these agreements. It's really clear. As the chairman noted, the management agreement contains language that states, all employees of the hotel shall be the employees of the owner. Now, it's not actually the owner of the hotel, it's actually the subtenant, but that's Hyatt Equities. All employees of the hotel shall be employees of Hyatt Equities, or if Hyatt Equities prefers, they can be employees of Hyatt Corporation, right? These two wholly owned subsidiaries of what's now a Fortune 500 publicly traded company. And that's who has to employ the hotels. The management agreement is very clear and specific about that. Now, you might think that they could violate that, right? Because that language is an agreement with themselves. But that's not the case. Because the sublease, which is between the BDC and Hyatt, says that Hyatt must comply with the obligations of the management agreement, and it can't change or amend or alter them in any way without the approval of the main landlord, which is the city of Baltimore, right? So, okay. So, and the sublease further states that the city shall be considered a third-party beneficiary of the agreement, and also has great power in enforcing this agreement. Under the terms of the sublease, the city is granted the power to pursue legal and equitable remedies to enforce the provisions of the management agreement, the agreement that requires the direct employment of all the employees at the hotel. And it also provides for Hyatt to be liable to reimburse the city for legal expenses incurred if you're going to obtain an injunction against breaches of the management agreement. So you have a lot of power here. The city has the authority to require Hyatt to live up to the commitments that it made more than 30 years ago, and if Hyatt would have to pay your legal bills if they resisted an injunction, you were successful in getting an injunction. So, and Hyatt's had bad behavior at this hotel. You're going to hear a lot more about that. I'm sure you've already heard a lot. And they've placed your proprietary interest in this hotel at risk. Hyatt's fired workers who stepped forward to organize. The hotel's been the site of demonstrations, causing business disruptions. As Roxy said, the Local 7 really doesn't want to boycott this hotel, but will if it has to, and boycotts in other cities have cost Hyatt and owners millions of dollars. So the city has a really strong proprietary interest in seeking labor peace at this hotel, and it should do everything in its power to achieve labor peace at this hotel. And so the city should act the way private owners or owners of other cities when they own hotels, or even the city of Baltimore has acted when they own a hotel, right? They should make it absolutely clear and unequivocal to Hyatt that it's your preference that there be labor peace at this hotel, and make sure that Hyatt has no question about that. And then, as the resolution also states, you should refuse to amend any agreements with Hyatt unless Hyatt agrees to labor peace. And you certainly shouldn't ignore the blatant violations of the existing agreements that you have. Yes.
Mr. Chair, just a quick question.
Sure.
Bear with me, because the hotel is older than I am. So, has the Hyatt ever, in the history of the hotel, honored the agreement, or this is something that's been going on since the hotel was built? Do we know where there's a breakdown? Is this an economical decision later on? Did they honor it first, or?
I couldn't speak with authority about that. There might be people here who would know better than I would. Certainly folks in the hotel. Have they always subcontracted at the hotel?
No. No.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Just because for our knowledge, it would be great for us to know when and when, when they decided to start subcontracting out, how long they've been working. This is a very recent process. This is something that's been happening over periods and periods of time.
Come to the microphone. Come to the microphone. Okay.
Pull the microphone down.
Oh, okay. I've been working at the Hyatt since 1984 as a housekeeper.
That's a good year. The year I was born.
And I've been there since 1984 as a housekeeper. And when I first started there, it was really good and all and everything. But from '84 now to, I would say, like 10 years ago, at least about 10 years ago, that's when they really everything had changed. Everything really has changed since Mr. Steele has left. Since Mr. Steele hasn't been there.
Who is Mr. Steele?
He was our general manager since then. And he was wonderful. He was more like family. And he knew his workers. He would go in the kitchen. It didn't matter where he was at. He went there to see his people. He didn't say my employees and everything. We were his family.
When did the subcontracting start?
Oh, okay. The subtracting of the subcontractors. I would say about 10 years ago. So that's about 13. Okay.
We'll have more testimony about that when we get into the
Before you leave, I don't know if you know the answer or not. We need to find out. So the city owns the hotel. The city owns the land. So Hyatt doesn't pay property tax on that land. Is that correct? Did you assume that?
I think that's right.
Well, the city owns City Hall. We don't pay property tax in City Hall to ourselves, do we?
They have to pay through, just like they pay at the Hilton. They pay property taxes at the Hilton.
What? They pay property tax here?
That letter, yeah. You have your letter from the Hyatt.
Yes. All right.
It's on the second page of that letter. There was a chart, well, maybe.
I don't have a chart.
Oh, it's in our handout, guys, sorry, I'm sorry.
All right, do they, obviously they pay room tax for the folks that come in
They
to
do?
the hotel. Okay. Oh, okay, so we do have, see, that's where, I mean, I have a little, if you say the city owns it, and it is Marion City Council for the ownership, okay.
Man,
So they pay real property, we pay real property tax on how does that work, Ms. Gibson? I guess you gotta need a clarification. Now, obviously they're saying in the last 5 years, they paid real property tax $1.9 million, $1.9 million, $1.970 million, went down. Went down $1.5 million. They paid personal property tax of 200 and some odd thousand, except for 2009. The parking tax they pay, because that's a pass-through to people who use the parking garage. What are hot taxes? The hotel?
Hotel.
The hotel taxes, room tax? Obviously, that's a pass-through. That's a pass-through to whoever rents the room. So I need clarification. We pay real property taxes on the buildings we own. That seems a little strange. We don't pay property taxes.
But they're commercial enterprises.
But we own it.
Yeah, but, well, yeah, you're right, but it's just like the Hilton, and for the same reason, they have to pay taxes because they're a commercial enterprise, even though we own the property.
Well, the property owner pays a property tax. I mean, I'll get clarification, but that just seems strange. Okay. Sorry.
Things are bad enough without, they're not paying property tax.
They should have got,
But you're right, I mean, you're the one who really knows about property tax, because you have that.
well, you know, you're the property tax lady. You know.
Well,
They got a homestead credit there? No?
I don't think so.
All right, thank you, Jeff. We're going to move on.
They might get it.
President Greco, welcome here. Retired shirt on. Getting ready for Sunday. Thank you, President Greco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Ernie Greco. I'm with the Metropolitan Baltimore AFL-CIO unions. Let me first thank Councilwoman Clark for mentioning Tom Bradley. And okay, is that better? Yeah. Well, I'd just like to share with you, Councilwoman Clark was very kind in her presentation. Tom Bradley wasn't just brokenhearted; he was pissed off. You know, and what happened? What really happened there was, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the mayor at that time was William Donald Schaefer. You were the only member of the current council now that was there at that time, and at that, I mean, just for some folks. At that time, there were 6 districts. There was 3 council members in each district. Now now that has changed. Tom Bradley, when he agreed to do this, he had to talk this up with the labor unions, and we have at that time we had over 200 labor unions affiliated with our council. Many of them did not want Tom to testify in favor of it because they knew of Hyatt's reputation and so on. And finally, he convinced. And what happened then, members of the committee, is that we had a handshake, just saying that they would not interfere in organizing. We took their word. And what happened? As soon as they were ready, they hired probably the most anti-union law firm in Baltimore and did everything they could to block and scare employees at that time from joining the union. I can tell you that I've also been a member of the convention board here. And the reason I wanted to be a member of the convention board, because we got a lot of international unions. At one time, Baltimore was just a city between Washington and Philadelphia. You drove through it. What was here before the Hyatt Hotel? I don't know if you all remember. It was a terrible section of town. The Inner Harbor wasn't here. That was the produce where Arabs used to go to get produce. And if you didn't know somebody, and if you wasn't packing, you were in trouble walking down there, at nighttime. Now that area and the entire city of Baltimore is a tourist attraction. Our unions never cared before in 1979 about bringing their meetings and their conventions to Baltimore. Now they want to come, largely because of folks like you that made this, and William Donald Schaefer and other city councilmen that have passed, have made Baltimore a real tourist attraction. We got one hotel. We've got unions can't come and won't come because they don't have enough unionized rooms. We got just the Baltimore Hilton Hotel. We need the Hyatt. If we get the Hyatt, I can assure you, Baltimore City is going to be getting a lot of business from many of the international unions, not just for conventions, but for meetings and for other kinds of things that will be great. Will be great for everybody with the amount of tax that they get and the cooperation that we will have. We will work with the Hyatt, the AFL-CIO I'm talking about, and coming up with any kind of business that we can of encouraging our unions to come. We can't do that now because they don't want to. It's not that they don't want to come. They definitely want to come, but they can't come because of the lack of hotel rooms. So, you know, I mean, that is a big thing, Councilman Curran. I mean, that's going to be a lot of money, and the money that we made for that will be helping all the other unions here. You know, at one time, you know, Baltimore lost a lot of manufacturing right in this area. Packer Street, Lombard Street, Pratt Street, Utah Street were all clothing manufacturing places. A lot of manufacturing. They're all gone. You know, and now we need to bring good paying union jobs back to the city of Baltimore. We need this hotel. I thank you very much for what you're doing.
Good evening, my name is Tracy Lingo. I'm an organizer with Unite Here Local 7, and I want to just walk you through the two main issues, along with some of the workers at the Hyatt, the two main issues in this resolution. So we've heard a lot tonight about subcontracting, and it's very clear that the hotel's agreement with the city is that there will not be subcontracting, and it is very clear that they are depending on subcontractors for the core parts of the hotel. Just to use housekeeping as an example, Hyatt is a 488-room hotel, and currently, in less than 10 years ago, Hyatt employed 45 direct housekeepers. Today, only 8 housekeepers are direct Hyatt employees, and the rest of housekeeping, the housekeepers that run the department, are at least 43 workers who work day in and day out, nearly every week, side by side with those direct workers, and some of those women have been there 5 years, some of them have been there 10 years. They are not, in the sense of the word, temp workers. They're only being treated as unequal workers. And I want to make one change in the order of our speakers, because I want to introduce Denise Sidbury, who is a housekeeper at the Hyatt Regency. And unfortunately, like many of the workers at the Hyatt, she has to have 2 jobs, and she's running to her 2nd job, but she really wanted to get a chance to speak.
All right, Denise, welcome to Burns Chambers.
Hi, my name is Denise Sidbury, and I've been working at the Hyatt Regency Hotel for 12 years. And when I first started there, we had about 45 direct housekeepers there. Now there's only 8 of us left, and then the rest of them are temps. Some of them have been there for like 10 years. I talked to some of them have been there 5 years, some of them been 10 years.
Temps.
Temps. And they still haven't been hired directly.
Can I ask you, without divulging, what is the difference in pay that the temp costs versus a non-temp? You know that?
Well, before we came from underground as union, that we wanted a union, most of the temps were doing about 30 rooms, and we were doing like 16 to 18 rooms.
No, I mean salary.
Salary?
If the temp get paid the same as you?
No.
Well, their company's gonna get some.
And whoever is the middleman. All right, thank you, Denise.
Okay, thank you.
Are you a temp or are you a full-time?
I'm full-time. I work for Hyatt. I'm full-time.
Good. So they're gonna bring in some more people to work for Hyatt.
As far
They
as
hired 5 or 6.
they did inform the temps that the positions were open if they wanted to apply.
Oh, good.